Esports, their late game comps are, I mean, they're not drafting late game comps, you know, and the late game has been an issue. In game number 1, there were a lot of problems, and they brute forced their way to victory. And in game 2, you know, they almost were able to pull it off. You know, Chovy was playing extremely well, and the rest of the players too were holding their own. But compositional issue started to really rear its head every time Morgan looked for engages. You know, past the 25-minute mark, it was just not going to happen. And I feel like we need to see a move away from this low-range Kalista style, because yes, it's one of Jeff's most iconic and best champions. But he doesn't need to pick it this early, and he definitely doesn't need to draft it every time when there's a lot of other options available. So I would like to see a move away from that, because Nongshim are clearly very well versed at outranging that style of play, and they were almost able to take that first game as a result. And game 2, we all just watched what happened.
Yeah.
These bans seem to be the same. There's the Thresh ban, though. Not going to see that one anymore.
Yeah, and once again, Hanwha Life are on blue, and they first ban Seraphine. It's clear they don't want to play Seraphine. Let's get that out of the way. But this is going to be 3 times in a row now we're having the same sides for these teams. So it seems like both teams just want to stick on these sides. They don't want to mix anything up.
Makes casting a best of 5 kind of interesting when both teams stay on the same sides every time. It feels like there's like an identity almost on the Rift. As everything else will look the same here. Probably see the Renekton ban once more for Nongshim.
Yeah.
I don't think Udyr is warranted at this case. I will let Hanwha Life have the opportunity to first pick that potentially. I wouldn't mind seeing Johan on the Hecarim instead. They will actually take the Rel, so putting the focus on the bottom side of the map very early on.
Tristana,
yeah,
very notably was not banned this time around, right? They replaced that Tristana ban with the Thresh ban. Thresh was banned by Nongshim in game number 1, but they're still going to go for Jinx. They say, okay, we're going to play Jinx. We're going to play it with a different support.
Wow, if Peanut went for the Nidalee here, that would be very much a specific Peanut pick here. No strong pairing with it at the moment. They'll take the Hecarim though, and this feels very familiar for Nongshim. The problem is now you've given... I don't mind not picking Tristana. I do mind not picking Tristana when it's Rel Tristana bot lane available now, and it solves all the problems that we were talking about. For Hanwha Life Esports, it's actually just putting Deft on a stronger, more top-tier bottom champion where he can carry the game and scale up very well. Sylas to be picked here potentially very early. It'll be the first one of the series. Been buffed on this patch.
I was wondering when he was going to start climbing the draft tier list here. And you're already looking at Hecarim, which is a fantastic ultimate steal. Jinx is alright, but you're looking for more. You're probably expecting Alistar to be picked as well.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's a couple of ultimates that you'll be really happy to steal.
It definitely makes the Alistar pick feel less powerful in this case. You already don't have the Thresh. Tahm Kench Jinx is something that I think we should see more of. I wouldn't mind it here. Feels very safe. And that's the alternative option to the Alistar pick here. I'm not going to just stick it back to the standard Alistar response, though. What's really interesting about taking the Udyr here, I mean, yes, you're going to... it's going to be banned away if you don't, but now you're in a position where you don't get that Tristana anymore. I mean, you shouldn't. Nongshim should definitely ban that. They're going to ban the Kalista.
Kalista, Tristana, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's where you go here.
I think you even could have left the Kalista available, but again, it's a very kind of bully, like early mid kind of composition if they do go for Kalista once again. But it's, again, extremely low range. They're already having that kind of issue with the first 3 picks. And they're going to ban away Ezreal.
That was the other champion I was thinking. I would have rather seen the Ezreal Tristana here and just leave the Kalista open, because this comp, you know, again, just becomes extremely transparent if you pick the Kalista here, and Nongshim have already dealt with it very well twice. And they do ban the Ezreal. And it may just be that Def doesn't want to play the Tristana. I mean, not every player in the LCK is actually prioritizing it right now. Deft has played 3 games, but he's 1 and 2 towards the later part of the season. Sion here for Rich was banned away from him before, and now he's going to have that opportunity to pick this one blind.
They finally banned his Gragas, which I think is a good idea.
I was a little bit disappointed with that last game, and it did end up coming back to bite Hanwha Life quite a bit. He actually picked up 2 of the POG votes in the last game. And the real question is, where is Deft going here? The Kaisa definitely feels very dated right now. It's not as powerful in lane as the Tristana, and it's much more difficult to execute in terms of team fighting later on. But it is. Oh, there he is. There he is.
What did I say on the POG state? When are they going to play the Urgot? And he gets picked, as you mentioned, on the first day here. Very nice to see. We are not going to be seeing any of these champions. We need some ability power damage on the side of Nongshim, and it is going to be Orianna that does come through.
This is really interesting, this Urgot pick. I'm very excited to see how this gets played out. It does really feel like a Morgan champion, you know what I mean? It feels like a champion he can actually play very well. Seems to be really strong with Udyr. This is our first time seeing it in the LCK. It's been played quite a bit in the LEC. It's been banned a lot there. We were a little bit late on the Urgot hype train here.
The Urgot's nice. It's another one of these stable top picks that can be really annoying for tanks to deal with, right? You just slowly tip away. At the health of the Scion, you have kind of an execute within your ultimate ability as well. The one thing I'm worried about, again, here for Hanwha Life is there's like no ring. Okay? If Nongshim do the same thing again, where they kind of just peel and allow Duckdom to do a lot of damage, they've also got Bay onto one of his best picks here. I'm kind of liking Nongshim's chances once again when I just look at this draft.
Yeah, when I think about it, I think, well, how do you ever deal with Duckdom with this composition? A lot of the pressure is going to be on Vista to pilot this Rel once again very successfully, have good Magnet Storms. I mean, what Kaisa can do very well is just straight up front to back and shoot at Rich. When you have Kaisa and Urgot just chipping away at Rich's health bar here, then if he goes down, then you can play that front to back team fight. The Silas, I think, is going to be, later on very great at this as well once he steals those ultimates, especially the Unbreakable Will. But I do feel like, it feels like the identity stays the same here in a lot of ways for Hanwha Life Esports. Later on in the game, it's going to be very difficult to front-to-back team fight against Duckdom, who scales up so hard later on.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens here as we do hop onto the Rift for game number 3. And I think, once again, we might just have to watch Chovy try to hard carry this one. If they can get a very good lead in the early game, then it might not matter. Obviously, Nongshim's composition is very much, let's settle down, let's team fight at like 30 minutes.
Duckdom's going to get a little excited before then, but...
Yeah.
But yes, otherwise.
They'll just look to scale it up and look to play front to back and deny anyone from getting into the back line. The Kaisa, I mean, unless you're getting backline access, you're basically doing nothing. So
I mean, I think you can also front to back into the Scion pretty decently with this Kaisa later on too, once she builds up, a lot of her items later on. But the big concern for me is like where does the Urgot Udyr duo, like how do they play into this? Because you aren't going to get backline access very easily. There's so many peeling tools here for Nongshim. Uh-oh.
This is so much critical damage very early on in the game. Although, it is the Silas, and he does have a Dark Seal with refillable.
He is going to get zoned out of quite a bit of experience here, potentially. Bay really does not want him to come in. He's just going to have to eat that damage.
Yeah.
Ends up missing some CS. Does get the experience, though, critically. It's actually Chovy's first game of Silas, so that puts him up to one more new champion. I think it was 20 that he's at now. Because he has played the Renekton mid before. That's not his first time, and it's certainly not his first victor. He's at 20 now, so dings a new new teens number.
Yeah.
Or breaks the teens, rather. I don't know, he gets another 10. There's not a word for this, I don't know.
Figured it out at the end there. Yeah.
Bay's having a great start here, but Yoan wants to break it.
Early gank, that's really cute, and that's one way to get into the head of Nongshim. First blood, straight over the Udyr. Would like to have that gold onto Chovy, but you're still going to take it, and just not respecting the potential level 3 gank that does come in. Teleport again, and a ping onto him as well. Flashes down on Bay.
Johan has it.
Oh,
and he's going for it.
Yeah, flash stun. I think he might just die here once again. Easy kill. And
well, Valdez, I mean, that's
a huge mistake.
3 stacks going over to the Dark Seal that he started here in this game. And this is once again something we've seen Chovy do before. I mean, this is how you give resources to Chovy, right? You build him a Dark Seal, you stack him on that early, you feed him over a ton of early gold, and this is exactly what, I mean, this is how you use the big gap that we have in this series, to be totally frank. I mean, not even one person is going to be, oh, I think Bay is just as good. And unfortunately, right now, like, you make a critical mistake, then you give a second opportunity like that, and now, I don't want to say this game is over from here, but Bay is going to have a hellish time in this early to mid game, and Chovy is going to be online way faster than you're ever supposed to be.
Yeah, and oh
so
boy,
bad.
I think Rich might die here too. Not quite. He's actually just going to take pretty critical damage, but he does get away. But you can see how rough this top lane matchup is, at least.
Yeah.
The Urgot is absolutely a counter into this lane.
Like, I mean, harder than, you know, the Cho'Gath we've seen in the past. I feel even it's just...
Aurelia,
yeah.
we've seen.
I'm going to watch this again. So Bay actually flashes into Johan because he has no vision. He actually has no idea he's here. And then he gets... Johan's like, cool, thanks for the free stun. So Johan does not have to follow flash or anything like that. So he's here for this flash on the second time. And, like, Bay knows what's up, but he just... There's nothing he can do, literally. He even gets body blocked there a little bit by Johan. So well played. And that's that. I mean, this lane is over. He did not get both kills critically, so
Yeah,
that's the light at the end of the tunnel, or a little consolation prize, I guess. Now the wave is put in such a rough spot for Bay too. Like, he actually can't even farm. And like I said, it's going to be hellish.
it's a really rough spot as the Orianna. No flash against an Udyr and a Sylas that both have tier 2 boots. You don't get to you don't get to lane.
Nope.
You could ward one side. You got to play extremely passive to that side. Try not to get ganked from the other. You just sit there and try to survive. Urgot's been 269 days since he has come out. Keen was the last time to play it in LCK Summer of last year against Smebs.
I miss Smeb. You can see it's actually not a positive win rate here, but again, this kind of we're looking back in time. We're looking at this stat. Very aggressive positioning here once again from Johan on the top side of the map, but Rich is being very respectful.
Yeah.
Like, he has no ward on that side of the map either, but he just knows.
There is the one that he ran over right now, and Rich should see him.
Yeah.
They did just both get cleared out, though.
It's the second he sees it, he moves back in and gets the experience. He's like, okay, I'm good.
You can see that with the lane pushing here. They're trying to fight over the Raptors, but Vista is here.
Yeah.
It's level 4, so kind of just have to let these go if you are Nongshim.
He's actually, I think, even going to get the big one.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, the thing is, if he stays there like that, Bay is, you know, unfortunately, losing out on being in lane. Chovy is being so frustrating. He got this wave frozen in such a bad spot for Bay. And, like, this is a game where some of the main issues we talked about in Drafter, you know, it feels like might just not matter if this game snowballs and steamrolls out of control.
Exactly.
Like, every single game that Hanwha have played has been very strong in the early game. This one is, like, especially so.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if Rich survives this one.
We have the ultimate available. He's going to just totally whiff. And now with the ultimate coming out here and the flash already used, Morgan is just dead. They're going to hand that kill over to Peanut, and that is fantastic news for the top laner of Nongshim.
You know, I mean, it has been an uncharacteristically weak day for Morgan. You know, Morgan is definitely one of the players I've been trying to get people to watch out for because he's quietly been one of the most consistent top laners in the LCK this season. And just some small mistakes, you know, like this, and also in laning against Rich in Game 2 as well that have really stacked against him. And Peanut is always there to help Rich out, and they're high-fiving when this gets committed to. Got to be careful about getting an early lead onto this Hecarim. It can really mess up how your tempo is going to go around some of these Drake fights. First one does put on
fight here. Def taking insane amounts of damage. He got CC'd from 100 to 0 health there. There was nowhere for him to go. He couldn't even flash, guys. A duo kill, 2 of them in the bottom lane already. And once again, Duck Dom is getting fed.
I mean, this has been kind of a meme today, the Duck Dom versus Chovy series, right? And like, that's what's happening. And this is a huge mistake from Def to try to trade that one out like this. And this keeps happening, it feels like, with Kai'Sa players nowadays, where they just try to come forward and trade, and then you get CC'd like that, and you're just going to die, like straight up. I'm going to watch it again. We're going to watch this first. So missing the ultimate, kind of a big deal here. And then right afterwards, Peanut is there. Like, Peanut's was always on his way. Gets knocked up, and then that's the end of the story here.
Yep.
Even flashes, as you mentioned. But the bot lane is just actually...
Watch the CC on it.
Yeah, like watch Def not do anything, sadly. He is rooted and is
stunned again.
He gets one auto off. And you just don't want to put yourself in that position against a Jinx. And you definitely don't want to get Duck Dom fed. You know, it's funny. I was talking about how, like, okay, Def Senna's got a really good Senna. He's got a pretty wide champion pool. He's a dominant player, and Duck Dom is not going to be able to have the power that he would like. He's not going to have the opportunity to play the champions he would like in this series. But Hanwha Life have not been respecting him in the draft, and Deft has been very low impact in this series, and it's in fact come true to be the opposite of what I said, and that Duck Dom has been empowered in all 3 games.
Yeah, I feel like, well, we're going to have this fight here. Before I get into that, Chovy having a very nicely timed gank, although the flash is available. And so Rich will escape very crucially. This gives some time for Bay to try to come back. He gets a nice push in, probably a good back, or maybe even a rotation down on the bottom side. As you can see,
Peanut's here.
Some pressure being put on. Bay is just going to go back. He doesn't have much mana.
He decided not to.
Okay.
He's being very indecisive, but I mean, you got to make something happen now. But I think this is just really ill-timed.
Yeah.
Silas is already back in mid.
Bay has his teleport, so
he's going to definitely want to use that. He actually, well, you know, I mean, he actually just put himself into a less advantageous position with that rotation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And he's going to lose even further CS.
Yeah. Having Johan there certainly helped push the wave back real quick, so there wasn't any kind of chance at a dive. They were thinking about setting up kind of a 4-on-2, 4-on-3 scenario with Chovy, no TP, and on the top side of the map, but didn't quite work out. Nice try, I suppose, but the execution wasn't there. As the push with the Rift Herald is going to come in now, they're going to give some of this gold over to Deft. And Johan going to split that up. And look at Duck Dom, how confidently he's playing this lane now. He's got Kellen with the Moby Boots as well, just owning the front line there. And what I was going to say is kind of like, Duck Dom is climbing the Mortal Kombat ladder, you know? It's like every spot he like takes out another 80 carry.
Yeah.
As, okay, we're actually going to have another dive here on a Def.
But late.
Really fantastic block comes out from Vista, but it's not going to matter, and Kellen will survive.
Just barely. He had to tank a ton of turret damage. Ooh, Vista gets slowed.
Uh-oh. He has to flash away, and that's another summoner taken away. Duck Dom, though, no summoners of his own. Johan, again, can't do anything.
Yeah, he's not able to do anything here. That was a very scary moment, for sure, for Nongshim, especially because Kellen had to take so many shots, but they still made it happen. Still get another pick, so a lot of extra gold down in this bottom side of the map. Once again, the kill goes to Kellen, but still, I mean, that's a lot of assist gold. And if you're a Nongshim fan right now, I mean, this is overperforming, right? I mean, there's often nerves that come into a series like this where, you know, a team like Nongshim just get crushed in the first game and then they fall apart, you know, start to see some weak plays, you know, and maybe some people get caught out of position, they get a little bit lazy as they're frustrated. But this has just not been the case for Nongshim in this series. And in fact, that close first game, I think, did motivate them. And we're going to watch this one more time. Like, there's just a ton of CC. Deft actually gets away here, and Vista with a really nice Magnet Storm to pull back, but it's still just not enough. And by the time Johan gets here, you know, there's just no way to turn this around. He's a new deer, so there's a really good flash from Vista.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty self-explanatory, but the reaction time was good there.
Yeah, and a good trade for Peanut. I mean, he goes the City Boots every time, so he's getting his ultimate back very fast. His Ghost back, he's able to get those ganks off, whereas the Flash is going to take a while for Vista to get that back. So just a really good trade-up overall from the side of Nongshim.
This gold graph, I mean, really tells the story of this game. Or this gold comparison, right? Like, mid versus bot, right? That's where the success has been. And that number could be a lot higher, again, if Kellen didn't get the kill. And if it was given over to Duck Dom. This is just You know, this is how these trades go.
Peanut's up here again, and what did I say about the ult cooldown? It's back up, and it's available. Morgan is going to get knocked up and feared from over the wall. See you later.
Wow.
Yet another fantastic gank timing comes out from Peanut, who is now 3-0.
I mean, you can't be taking trades like that when, I mean, look at the items of Morgan here. He's got a Tiamat and a Cull and a Giant's Belt, I guess, you know. Like, you're not actually going to be doing enough damage in this moment to actually trade that out. And then Peanut is just like, well, I'm here because, like, Rich starts taking a trade, and I'll hold that thought.
Chovy is up here. He's stolen the ultimate, able to deny the knockup. Does he have the damage is the question. Rich doesn't have anything. Udyr is here, and that's just going to be the kill. They hand that one over to Chovy as it feels like he's the janitor trying to sweep up all the, you know.
Chovy is like, Chovy is 1v9ing in this game, man. Like, it feels like he is.
Feels that way.
He is just doing everything right. He has not made any glaring mistakes. He's playing almost perfect. Like, mechanically in some of these team fights, we've seen him almost turn things by himself. But I feel like the Sylas isn't going to be quite as impactful as a Victor, you know, in terms of the lead that we have here later on in the game.
We'll see. I want to see a late game fight with Unbreakable Will and see if he can actually kill Jinx before Jinx kills him. I think it's just, again, going to be one of those, like, Chovy versus Duckdom games here.
The only advantage that Morgan had in this exchange was that he had vision, and he knew that Rich did not know that he was standing there, so he got a few autos off. But, like, Rich actually almost does this by himself. And, you know, Peanut is there. Without Peanut there, you don't secure the kill. And then Rich gets a little bit greedy on this ward. Meanwhile...
Okay, more trading down here. Peanut is in position again. This time, Duckdom's going to get the kill. And Chovy with the Unbreakable Will. That's not going to last forever. Can he survive? He's trying to turn back the damage. And finally, it does come out. Kellen is going pretty deep here. It's a lot of damage on a Chovy already. Look at how much damage these rockets are doing. Going to be able to dodge the ultimate that comes out here, but...
Part of the blue sea.
Yeah, they're just owning this bottom lane.
I mean, they are just, I mean, this is, I feel like a team that is understanding, finally, very late in the season, that Duckdom is actually their carry player. It's not Peanut, it's not Rich, it's actually Duckdom. And this is something that I've been saying forever, and I know that, you know, most people are starting to kind of get on the Duckdom hype train here recently, but, like, he is playing so extremely well. He went under everybody's radar because Nongshim had a pretty bad win rate, right? They ended up barely sneaking into playoffs in 6th place. But he is just so good. And you could see that they're actually spending all their resources to empower him game after game. Yeah, because, I mean, look, Peanut's doing a great job of also helping Rich out. I mean, you have to give credit where it's due, but...
Yeah, Peanut's had a great series as well. Like, over the course of the... regular season, the both of them kind of, you know, put their heads together and have been the driving force of this team to get it to where it is now.
Yeah, and I do very strongly feel that Hanwha Esports are not playing to their strengths, you know, and they're drafting, like they're with all the champions available and all the deep pools. Oh, this is just Vista, like way out of position, hoping for he was not going to be noticed, but all of the champions that Hanwha can play, like, and then they try to reinvent the wheel in such a weird way in the first 2 games, and in game 3 as well. You know, you prioritize the Sylas super high. As we know how this goes. I mean, Duckdom is just crushing it. And it's just not working. I mean, he stole the Hecarim ult.
Yeah. Denial actually with the chilling smite onto Johan means no stun comes out.
Yep.
And Chovy can't follow up. He probably was just going to ultimate away anyway, but still pretty cute there.
Like Chovy, I mean, you look at his items. He got the stopwatch early again this game. He wants to be the carry that we know that he can be, and he is still doing everything right. It's just unfortunate that there are limits to what he's capable of. I mean, not as a human. Like we haven't seen his limits yet in that regard. But there's limits of what his champion can do with the stats it has in game, right? Like, and if Duckdom starts to get even more fed, he's massively ahead in CS now. Even Sylas is going to struggle to actually consistently do damage. You know, you talked about him getting Unbreakable Will. It's like, well, let's see what he can do. But if he just gets killed early on in the fight, before he can really get the maximum value out, it's going to be a problem. And they don't have, like, Morgan is not doing well enough. They don't have a great, consistent tank either to frontline against Duckdom's damage. That's going to be some extra gold to Morgan, though.
Yeah, you can see Ritz is just trying to play weak side here. Smite going to be used to deny that from coming in. The Gromps, remember guys, have some extra health that you regain and also some extra XP rather.
Pretty huge that he gets the Unbreakable right before the Drake fight. Yeah. He was just able to come in there and rob Kellen. It's actually massive that he's going to have that for this upcoming team fight. He doesn't have to try to get it in the middle of it.
Yeah. This is going to be the first real back-to-back 5v5 team fight, I think.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a huge test for Hanwha Life. Can they actually access that back line and get the damage done? Well, they're just going to try to break in through the front door. A massive engage comes through from Vista, and they get onto Duckdom. They take out the carry, but does it matter is the question. Two of them will go down. Toby is taking actually a lot of damage, and remember that Peanut is incredibly fed as well. 3-0 does the most damage on his team in that team fight, and Nongshim will take the Infernal Drain.
Unfortunately, Kaisa's just not at a point in this game where she can really do enough damage to get through that Scion. We saw the Killer Instinct come through, and if you go back and watch Deft in that fight, he does very little. I mean, yes, he does 2,000 damage, but a lot of that damage is into a Scion that does not die. And sure, you execute Duckdom there, but the comp is so tanky and it has so much staying power with the Peanut Hecarim here, who is fed, as you mentioned. The engage was nice, right?
Insane engage.
It was an insane engage, but the Peanut just defensively ults and ruins the whole combo here. And sure, you do get the kill onto Duckdom very early on, but look at Deft in the backline here. Like, he's not actually really doing a whole lot, you know? Like when no one's running at the AD carry, you know it's a bad sign.
They're all just ganging up on Chovy. He's the real threat.
Like, but when nobody's running towards a Kaisa, you're like, well, if that's how these team fights are going to look, I'm very concerned for Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, they need time, but like, the more time you give to Kaisa, you're giving the time to Jinx too.
Exactly.
And Jinx is massively ahead right now. 3 extra kills, 4 extra assists, 30 extra CS. Duckdom is just miles ahead right now of where Deft is. And he's already hitting some spikes, and he's on 2 items right now. And the longer this game goes, I think those team fights are going to look even more in favor of Nongshim. Even after the perfect engage ends taking out Duckdom 20 minutes in, they still weren't able to win the team fight for Hanwha Life, and that is not a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, this is... I mean, you couldn't have really put it any better. Like, I just don't think that could have been a better situation for Hanwha Life Esports in terms of the start of the fight. Vista off on his own. Chovy's trying to win the game by himself.
Chovy, he really wants it, and he will get it. He will take the kill onto Duckdom, but they are pretty deep in here. So much damage is coming out from Chovy, but now we have Peanut, who is nearly legendary, actually, I think, in this game. And now he is the horse that you have to respect. Look at him just run at Deft. Deft is like, yeah, I'll take you out. No! No, you will not take him out!
Johan's in trouble here too. Oh, he's gonna scoop him.
Yeah, Peanut's looking for more. Are they going too far is a legitimate question, but I don't know. Doesn't look like it. Sion's too tanky. They're
Everybody's
too tanky. Turret.
Everybody's too tanky.
Yeah, Chovy went so deep and he gets the kill again onto Duckdom.
7-0 and 4.
Matter.
7-0 and 4 is Peanut in this game. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. I really do. Oh, it's not that. He's not that low. But
yeah.
I'm gonna say it. Like, it was a really cool play from Chovy, but you could see the frustration. And this actually shows a lack of discipline. Because in this situation, you feel like you see blood in the water, I can kill the AD carry, and you have a really nice engage. You get the attach there. He says the Hecarim ult to close the distance, and then he gets the follow-up stun. He does blow Duckdom up, but he dies. And when you're the one who actually is the only real source of consistent damage at this stage in the game, you can't make trades like this, because then Peanut is a champion who could chase you extremely well. Like, you can't actually get away anymore against this Hecarim. So if you actually make a call like that, it was a cool play and he doesn't get the kill, but your team is actually suffering, and they can't just let you do that on your own. They have to follow, and now it's like, well, Nongshim just get multiple kills. It's not a one-for-one trade. And I mean, you have to understand that Nongshim can chase so well, and I think this is the crack starting to show in terms of Chovy's mentality a little bit here in the series, where he has been, I mean, I think of the 10 players in the game, the one who's doing the most. Like, he's been the highest impact, but it just doesn't matter if the rest of the team can't keep up with him. And that's kind of been the story of this game.
Yeah.
In this series, in a lot of ways.
It's a real problem now, because the tanks are going to get tankier. Peanut, he's already got the Force Nature. I mean, he's sitting on so much gold at this point. 2 items at 22.5 minutes, and he becomes unkillable. So now he can dive and not die. the Scion already there. And, you know, even if you do take out Duck Dom, they have decent damage with the rest of the players in their comp. Even Bay is performing pretty well. This is going to be a really nice engage, though. Duck Dom is frontlining, basically giving his life away for the turret. That is not what you want to see. And Hanwha Life will immediately jump on that opportunity. They're going to take down 2, make it 3. And Nongshim, that was a big lapse that could actually make Hanwha Life get back in this game.
This is turning into a fiesta a little bit, Valdez. No, I'm talking about Nongshim's Academy team mid laner.
Yeah, I was about to say, call him up.
Yeah, and while it might be time next season, but I thought it was time after round 1, but that's just my take. I think Bay has a place in this roster for sure, but this is going to be a Baron, and like the trades of kind of wacky plays and mistakes and overextensions here massively favors Hanwha Life. You know, Nongshim was able to get a turret for their kills, but Hanwha Life was going to get so much more. And Duck Dom's positioning has been very greedy, and this is another situation where he's picked, but at this point, like, everybody's slowed and stuck here. Kellen tries to give his life to help Rich get away, but it's a new tier, right? Both these teams have insane chasing power, so you make a mistake like that, you're not just going to lose your AD carry, you're going to lose multiple members, and Nongshim cannot give this Drake up.
Yeah, they're going to have to try to fight here against Hanwha Life with Baron buff. Now, again, they are still in, you know, a really fed position. Peanut didn't die. We didn't give any of that over. It's really just the Baron buff that they have to deal with. And this time around, they're getting some protection for Duck Dom. Take a look at him. He's just kiting down Toby. But actually, Toby's able to get on top of him. And there it is. Morgan is able to get that ultimate onto that very squishy Jinx. Takes him out. And now Hanwha Life immediately are coming back into this game as Toby picks up 2.
I mean, Nongshim need to be grouped up and actually use the comp correctly in a front-to-back sense. I mean, sure, Peanut can flank and he can get side kills. He was able to take Johan off on the edge, but you need to have this composition functioning where Duck Dom can actually free hit because you have a strong front line for him. Silas should not be able to get in that easily to these team fights without taking tons of damage, and Rich was doing such a good job of it in the first few skirmishes where he was tanking so well, but later on, as we go through the game, the positioning hasn't been so great, right? Like, Bay is actually getting caught here, taking some damage. Like, where Bay was there was also very much under threat. And Chovy actually gets the flank angle here, but it's Vista who helps set him up. And Chovy is just so tanky at this point in the game. Like,
yeah.
As a mid laner, he just doesn't care. He actually pulls away from the
ball. Here we go again. The Vista does not stop as Vista is able to get in there and maybe try to force something down, but doesn't actually work. It looks like Bay teleported in and had to flash away immediately. That's not the best look. It's almost like Nongshim are falling apart at the seams here.
Yeah. I mean, that was another situation where you don't want to skirmish without your front line. You don't want to be in that position. You don't win that fight ever. And too many squishies versus Chovy, who's got 9 stacks now on his Mage Eyes.
Yeah. And,
like, the items are starting to come online for Hanwha Life Esports, right? And, you know, you even have the Dead Man's Plate finish. I mean, going into a little bit more magic resist here for Johan. I'm worried that Nongshim have just kind of, I feel like, overestimated how ahead they were, and have gotten a little bit sloppy in this game in terms of positioning.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you can't just get caught out like that.
Like, where are you right now, Peanut?
Peanut, he thinks he's got a blast plant and he's going to be okay, but at the end of the day, he has to ultimate over the wall. He's going to have to wait for that cooldown to come back up here.
That's, you know, that means that they can't really fight right now. There's no objective on the map, but with Hanwha Life grouped up like this, they could just take these turrets. I mean, they're playing as if they have Baron buff at this stage because Nongshim can't fight aggressively. They can mostly fight defensively without Peanut. Like, if he had his ult here, maybe you can make a play, but they know he doesn't, so you just kind of have to sit there and watch your turret go away.
Yeah.
Every mini wave that crashes into it, you're just going to take a little bit more damage. This is the best way to play against the clock if you're Hanwha Life, waiting for that next Infernal Soul to spawn. That was cinematic, but
yeah.
Otherwise,
get the camera.
You know, otherwise not impactful.
Yeah, Joey just kind of with the cooldown on Silas's ultimate, as is being shown here, 18 seconds. You can kind of just do that whenever you want. So,
yep.
He knew they weren't going to commit to a fight. Decided he wanted to throw out a rocket. as now we're going to have a 2-on-1 up there. But this is more important. They're trying to take down Chovy here. Do they have the damage is the question. Peanut, I think, definitely underestimating what Chovy can do here.
He is in 8-0 and 4 Hecarim.
Although,
and
now
Chovy
we
said no.
have Bay and Duckdom here, so Chovy is actually just going to back away.
Well, is he though? Well, he wants Bay.
He was thinking about it, yeah.
He's going to get the Unbreakable Will out of this exchange, which is really important going into, you know, the next skirmish that he may want to take. But the biggest enemy of Hanwha Life right now is the clock, right? Like, they want this next objective, they want the next Baron. And I think Hanwha Life have gotten to a point in this game where they feel very confident to take every single team fight that's there.
Uh-oh.
Deft.
Deft may have overstepped, but Peanut. I think he's realizing now that even though he's super fed, he's really tanky, like, he doesn't have to be the guy that, well,
I mean,
there's a lot of running around in this game.
Yeah, there is.
Hard work for our observers, I guess.
I mean, the second game was much slower paced. We're going back to game 1 levels of speed here. Chovy has this insane amount of lifesteal, you know, on the Silas that sometimes creeps up on you. He also has the Hecarim ult to get out, so he just turns around and is able to trade back a lot of that health. And then Peanut's like, okay, I already used my abilities. I cannot fight this anymore. And once Vista shows up too, you're starting to get really scared. And this is just, you know, Chovy being so far ahead in this game, and he can do so much. And sometimes with Chovy, you know, you think, well, how is this guy so good? Like, why is he so ahead? And it's because he just has such a large amount of CS. But in this game, he's gotten 6 kills, 9 Magi stacks.
Yeah.
I mean, the team is drafting around him, and it's working for him. It's not necessarily working for the team in every case, but it's starting to work in this game. It feels like this game is very similar to game 1 in terms of the turnaround that we're seeing.
But even more egregious so, I feel. And, you know, we'll have to wait and see how this fight is going to go. Morgan is getting more and more tanky, and Chovy is quite literally 1v9ing. We're going to get this ultimate onto Rich, and the damage might just be there, as he's not able to get it. That's a huge ultimate that comes out from Bay, but where is the follow-up? Duckdom is zoned away, and Chovy is full health, and now it's Hanwha Life who are front to backing, but we get Duckdom, and they're just piling in on him. They take away all of his front line, and everybody on the side of Nongshim is going to be killed. Hanwha Life sweep them in a big ace in 30 minutes.
And they want to win the game right now. They're going to push towards this inhibitor turret. They don't have the minion wave just yet. Chovy's going to find his own way into the base.
I'm going to go kill the Nexus. Look at me, I 1v9'd.
Oh, Chovy, you could tell that everything that Hanwha Life are doing in their drafts right now, every item build Chovy has taken with the Magi's first, the Dark Seals early, everything in this game is about him, how fed he can get early, and how he can play around this Silas. And this was just a case of Chovy winning the game by himself. He's going to make a show of it as well. And Hanwha Life Esports, do they bounce back strong? Not really. It was a very close game, very shaky. But one thing has remained consistent, and that is the mid laner, Chovy. And it feels like it's all that we could talk about in this series because he has just been so good, and he is on fire, and he's finding the right plays. You had that one overextension, right? That lack of discipline where he went in by himself to kill Duckdom. But besides that, every single big play he's made has resulted in, you know, unfortunately for Nongshim, disaster. And I'm glad to see that both teams are really honing in on their star players, right? Because Chovy isn't always given this many resources, he's not given this many freedoms, and he's usually not